The future isn't something we wait for, it's something we build. Welcome to Building Tomorrow with Fatima Bukar, where bold ideas meet real solutions. From innovation to leadership, economics to sustainability, we bring together visionaries, change makers, and experts that drive the conversation that shape Nigeria's future. Are you ready to think big, act smart, and be part of something greater? Join the movement. Subscribe, watch, and let's build tomorrow today. Hello and welcome to another intriguing episode on Building Tomorrow. I am Fatima Bukar. Building Tomorrow is a platform dedicated to sparking impactful conversations and exploring practical solutions to the challenges in our society. It's about equipping individuals with the knowledge, inspiring action, and driving meaningful change through insightful conversations, expert perspectives, and real-life solutions. Before we go on a short break, they say money has secrets. Don't you go nowhere, we'll be right back with the secrets. Welcome back to Building Tomorrow, a show where ideas meet action to inspire change and shape the future. Today we're going to discuss why schools do not train us on financial success and how to build wealth in Nigeria. With me today is a distinguished guest, a business enthusiast, a chartered accountant from the University of East London, and CEO of various businesses, Mr. Abubakar Ibrahim. Welcome to the show, Mr. Abubakar.
Thank you very much.
So we're going to dive right into why schools do not prepare us for financial success and how to build wealth in Nigeria. It's a pleasure to have you once again, Mr. Abubakar.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Mr. Abubakar, I understand that many Nigerians and youths globally feel that schools do not prepare them for financial success. But first of all, what is financial literacy?
Okay, in simple terms, financial literacy just means the knowledge of how to utilize money efficiently and effectively, in simple terms. And yes, I agree that most schools in Nigeria do not teach children financial literacy because their curriculum is based mainly on scholastic articles, and unfortunately that always teaches us how to be employees, not employers. So financial literacy is very, very important. If you ask, I must say that we need to change our curriculum to make sure that students get the required knowledge from an early age so that they can start saving and investing so that they can become independent in the future.
So how is it important to learn financial literacy before they even go to why schools do not prepare us on financial success?
It's extremely important because if you look at our society today, we have so many unemployed people. Many people, especially youth,
Yes.
They always say like we don't have enough jobs. They are waiting for the government to provide them with jobs. They want job security and all those things. Whereas if only they got the right foundation from they should have been thinking of how to be employers of labor.
Okay, the right foundation from school, or is
yes.
it parents, or the right foundation from
They say the first base of knowledge is at home. So the parents should start teaching the children financial literacy from an early age. And if you look at it closely, our culture, we shy away from talking about money with our children, which I don't think is the best thing. Teach children from young age how to, save money and invest it wisely.
Okay, I know you're doing extremely well when it comes to business. Did you get groomed by from childhood from your parents?
Well, I was very lucky. I am very lucky to have parents that taught me from an early age the importance of, exploring, starting businesses, failing early, I would advise that anybody who wants to start a business should start early. If you fail early, you know you'll feel the pain and you'll make amends. But if you start very late and you maybe maybe if you fail, then the losses could be very catastrophic.
Okay, when you say early, is there a specific age to starting early?
Um, I would advise that the moment the child reaches his teenage years, that's when he should start being taught on what to do with his first income. If he gets it either through labor or through gifts, there's a formula that I would advise every person to use whenever they make their first money. So it's
Okay, what's the formula?
okay. I call it the billionaires
The
money
billionaires-
management rule, and it goes this way: 70, 10, 10, and 10.
70, 10, 10,
10, 10,
10.
10. Yes. If you total that, it gives you 100%, right?
Sure.
So 70, 10, 10, and 10 means you should not spend more than 70% of whatever money you earn, no matter how small it is. You can only spend 70%. 10% is going to be for charity, 10% for savings, and 10% for investment. If you adopt this formula, believe me, you will go very, very far in life in your finances.
Wow, that's a good one. Which takes me back to which one is more important when someone is starting? Is it investing first or is it saving money?
Okay, you can only invest when you have money, right?
Exactly.
So first of all, you need to save.
Save.
Yeah. If you save, then invest wisely.
Okay. Okay. When you started, like how much did you save?
I remember my very first business venture was the one I can remember clearly was when I was in school, university. In the university, I bought this superwax.
Okay.
I bought it and I transported it home and I sold it. At the time, I was saving. I started saving since when I was in my secondary school. So it took me a long period to get up that capital. But I knew I had a goal that I was working towards. So as I was saving, I invested it wisely and I made good money.
Wow. Wow, that's a really good one. So, Mr. Abubakar, how can students or fresh graduates start earning early and avoid financial struggles?
As a student, I would advise that in campus there are so many things you can do. So many things you can do to start saving money from your very first year in school. You could maybe start like popcorn business or printing business or typing. Students need to eat, right? They also need to type maybe their projects and whatnot. So from your first year, just be looking at opportunities you can explore. Let me give an example. There's a billionaire by the name of Chuck Finney. When he was in school, he looked around his school campus and he saw that students didn't have access to a decent sandwich. So he said, why don't I make sandwiches from home? I come after school, I said,
To school,
yes.
so
That was how he made his first business, and with that money, he saved it and invested it. And right now, he's a billionaire.
well, mashallah, because if you could see in school settings, right, those ones are schools that own a cafe that do the printing business and all are all students, right, and this is what helps them to take care of some of the finances of their school, and some of them even take care of some home financial, also the financial aspect at home as well. So yes, it's truly important for students to start some sort of business in school, so that because as you graduate, you don't have to wait for the government to employ you, right?
Yes.
You can be financially independent,
Of course.
because the moment you graduate, you already have the
Yeah.
capital to start a
Exactly.
business, right? So what are the safest and most profitable investment options for beginners?
These two words, if you say safety and profitable,
Mm,
ideally, businesses that are very safe are not very profitable because, okay, they are safe and they would only give you a very small rate of return. An example of safe investment is like government bonds,
okay.
debentures, stocks, mutual for index funds, stuff like that. And even those things, for you to make real money, you have to have large capital. But I would advise that someone does his due diligence first. Look around. One reliable business you can go into is farming. And farming can be of various kinds. It could be poultry farming, it could be fish farming, it could be snail farming. These are all areas one can explore. Or you could also venture into commodity trading if you have a certain amount of capital. So I would just advise that someone does his due diligence, look at the situation and choose that business that best suits your own personality and your own circumstance.
Okay, for example, someone has an interest in food business, right? Everybody is into the food business, right? And we all know that there is profit in food business, right? Food is something that everyone is in need of. We all make use of food, right? When it comes to food business, does that mean that it wouldn't suit me? It wouldn't suit you?
Okay, this is a good question because I was in the food business before. I had a restaurant in Area 1. And from my experience, I started from camp when I was in NYC camp. The moment I finished my 3 weeks in camp, I immediately rented a stall inside camp and I started that business. And that business was very successful because I had a lot of time. I had a lot of time to monitor it. I was there almost every single day by 8 and I would close by 11 o'clock. So that business worked for me because, like you rightly said, food is a necessity, right? But in Nigeria today, and I think it's the same in every place in the world, if you don't have the time to adequately monitor a business, then you definitely see it run into the ground. So yes, food business is a very good business, but you have to make sure that you have the time and energy to monitor it very, very well. If not, honestly, you would hear stories that touch the heart.
Wow. Okay, so this is what I've been wanting to ask because I know our audience too would love to hear your insights on this. What are some high-paying skills or side hustles people can learn today?
Wow, the one that comes straight up to mind is IT skills. IT is extremely important. We live in the digital age, we're in digital economy. Information technology is the next big thing. In fact, it's actually the
It is.
yes, really.
Yeah.
You cannot afford to miss out on an IT skill in this time and period that we're in right now. And IT is a very, very wide area. You could choose one area of specialization and just focus on that, and you'll be making good money.
Yeah, okay, so when we're talking about IT, now, like you just said, like it's broad,
So, yes.
right? So if you were to advise someone who's a beginner in IT, what would you recommend for them to go first with?
Okay. Right now, I can see a trend in content creation. Content creation, like it's almost everybody's jumping into content creation, and the market is still largely unexplored. Businesses are in need of people who are good content creators. Organizations, offices. So content creation is a very, very good area to start, and it's not that hard to learn. It's also not expensive to. I would definitely advise someone to either choose content creation, or he could learn digital marketing, or it could be something like data analytics. If you are someone with a good finance background, data analytics is a big, big area. Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go on a short break, and when we come back, we're going to discuss some powerful insights, and Mr. Abubakar is going to share with us his idea on starting a business with as little as 100,000 or a million. So stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Building Tomorrow, a show where ideas meet action to inspire change and shape the future. Welcome back to Building Tomorrow, a show where ideas meet action to inspire change and shape the future. With me is a distinguished guest who is a business enthusiast. And before we went on a break, we were talking about the kind of investments one should make and the kind of skills one should go into. So right now, Ms. Abubakar, welcome back.
Thank you.
What kind of business or what kind of investment can someone make with just as little as 100,000 or 1,000,000?
Okay. Again, I would still advise that before anybody invests in anything, he should look at his circumstance, his personal circumstance. If you are someone with a lot of time, you could explore many areas. But if your time is limited, then you should look at investing in businesses that do not require your active participation. If you ask me now, what would I do with 100,000 naira? Honestly, I will tell you, I'm going to use it to learn a new skill, which I'm going to. If I learn that new skill, I'm going to make sure I utilize that skill for as long as possible. With 100,000 naira, I can get enrolled in a decent, maybe online course that will teach me about things like I said earlier, digital marketing, content creation, so maybe something about data analytics. Then, if I get that skill, I'll make sure I utilize it for as long as possible and keep on improving. And if I have 1,000,000 naira, that's a larger amount, quite alright. I could venture into things like commodity trade, things like farming. So it all depends on someone's personal circumstance. One thing about business is there's no one shoe fits all size, You just have to look at your current situation. If you have maybe some space in your house, you could have a small poultry farm at the back of your house and you make money. But if you don't, you could think of something outside. So at the end of the day, it all depends on your personal circumstance. Maybe look at your interests. Do you have any talents that you feel people have told you that okay, you have this talent, you can explore that talent. Like I said, there's no one shoe fits all. So,
with 100,000, do you think one can go into poetry?
Of course, yes, you can.
Oh,
you
okay.
Can.
Can you just give us a little guide on with just this little 100,000 how one can start poetry or a business? Just a guide for someone who doesn't have an idea, zero idea.
Zero idea. Okay. So, like you said, 100,000 naira. Let me tell you a story. I actually watched this interview. Someone asked Alhaji Ali Dangote, like, what experience have you had in your life that really touched you? He said, I remember, I'm quoting from Dangote now. He said, I remember there was time I attended a business program. He was saying that he attended a business seminar in a certain venue. I can't remember the name of that venue, but when he came out, a lady met him and said, can you loan me some money? Like, I'm into tailoring business. I have a very small tailoring machine that I want to use, to make these kinds of clothes. He said, he thought maybe it's just like people who usually ask him for money. So he said at the time what he gave her was like 15,000 naira. Do you know that this woman utilized that money? And he said after something like 1 year, 2 years, she came and she returned his money. Something brought him to that same venue and he said, this one returned this money back to me. So with 100,000 naira, you could just start a small provision store as long as you have the time, to monitor it. Make sure what counts, what is the most important in business is turnover, Make sure that you turn over and you keep on reinvesting your money. So with 100,000 naira, you could start a provision store, you could go into like poultry farming, and it's very, very important to start small and scale up as you grow. You don't have to say like, I'm going to start like the big people. Everybody you see who is successful in business started somewhere. So you start small and you gradually scale it upwards.
Exactly. Wow. Okay, so Mr. Abubakar, real estate, stocks, crypto, agriculture. How do you choose the right investment wisely without falling for scams?
This is a very good question.
Because a lot of people are afraid about scams, and a lot of them have been scammed, and that's why some of them are even afraid to start something or to continue. Some of them have already given up. So, what can you say on that?
I would still take you to the advice I got from Alhaji Ali Kudomoto, who said that you should never go into a business if you cannot explain the business from A to Z. If you don't know the hooks and carries of a particular business, there's no point in going into that business. The number one reason why people fall victim to scams is because they don't do their due diligence. They don't take time to analyze their business proposal, evaluate it, whether it makes sense, ask around, ask for advice from people from trusted sources. So just don't just jump into a business because someone told you like, ooh, there's good money in this.
Yeah.
And a lot of people fall victim to this, especially in this thing called crypto.
Crypto.
Most people who invest in crypto these days, if you ask them how exactly does crypto work, how many kinds of cryptocurrencies do we have, what is blockchain technology, how does it work? Honestly, they can't really explain to you, but they'll tell you like, come and invest in crypto. Just because someone told them like he made maybe $10,000 in crypto and they just want you to come and join crypto. So the most important thing is due diligence.
Okay, now this takes us back to investments, right? A lot of people nowadays invest in buying a land, right? And this is where a lot of people get scammed, right? Recently, I was discussing with an elderly woman, and she was telling me that she and her friends, about five of them, come together and they get a particular land, and everybody brings in what they have, right? Say the money is 2 million, the land is 2 million, right? And then everybody is going to bring their own parts, right? And when they sell it, then they're going to share the profit. And this is something that a lot of people have been scammed when it comes to land business. And majority of people, this is what they know when it comes to investment, getting a land, buying a house. So how can people protect themselves from getting scammed on this? I know due diligence, you mentioned that, right? So,
Okay, when it comes to land, you know, there are some relevant authorities that are in charge of allocation of lands and maybe the ownership and all those things, who has the CFO, certificate of occupancy, and all those documents. I think the number one reason why people get scammed when it comes to buying land is because they don't buy it through the right channels. What do I mean by the right channel? First of all, make sure you go to the relevant authorities. Let them do a search. Let it be sure that that land actually has an allocation number, the it has the right documents, and don't go and buy land from maybe someone who tells you like, don't worry, I know the person who owns the person, I know the person who knows the person.
exactly.
Follow the right channel. It might be expensive. It might be a little bit more expensive, but better safe than sorry, right? So make sure you do your due diligence and follow the right channel. Don't be, exactly, don't be too quick to invest your money, and make sure you sacrifice a small token just to make sure you do the right thing so that you save yourself from unnecessary headaches.
Yeah, yeah. So, Mr. Bukar, now when it comes to buying these houses and all, like this story that I just shared, do you think it's important for people to invest into stuff like this as a group instead of doing it individually? Is there any significance to doing something like that?
Of course, yes. Like they say, together everybody achieves more, right? So if you don't have the capacity by yourself to buy a piece of land, if you buy it as a group, you guys can buy, contribute, and then at the end of the day, it will be the profits, if you sell, will be shared according to everybody's individual contributions.
Exactly.
So of course it's a good idea, but what is important is to make sure you get the right partners. They say partnership is just like marriage. If you marry the wrong person, then fights every day.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So what's the biggest mistake people make when trying to invest?
The biggest mistake people make is they do not do their due diligence, number one, and number two is that they get greedy. What do I mean by that?
Greedy.
Someone tells you like, okay, there's a business proposal I have that can make you maybe 100% profit within 2 days or 3 days, or maybe someone will just tell you, if you give me 100,000 right today, by the end of the week, I'm going to pay you 150,000. Come on, let's be realistic. There's no business that has that much certainty. It's just like whenever you hear something like that, just know that it's a sign of Ponzi schemes, Ponzi schemes, Ponzi schemes. Real businesses have risks and rewards. So a good business proposal sounds something like this. Okay, I'm going to buy this asset and I'm going to make sure I spend this amount to bring it to a good marketable value, then I'm going to sell it. How much exactly, I don't know, but I have an idea. Maybe you could have 20%, 30%, 50% gain. That sounds more reasonable than someone who will just come and tell you that, just bring 100,000 and by the end of the month, you get 200,000.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So, due diligence and avoid greed.
Okay, so now I want us to talk about those salary earners, right? How can someone budget their salary properly to avoid being broke before month end?
Okay, salary earners. This question is for you. Honestly, from experience, the best advice I can give is make sure you save first before you spend everything. Yeah, before you spend anything. And make sure you save. The first thing you should do when you get your paycheck is save. Commit to saving at least 10% of your paycheck, at least. And you can use that billionaires money management formula that I said earlier, the 70, 10, 10, and 10 rule. Don't spend more than 70% of your salary. Save 10%, invest 10%, and 10% can be used for charity or any other worldly cause. Don't spend before budgeting and saving. Very, very important, salary earners.
But Mr. Abubakar, in this economy that we're at right now, someone that earns say 100,000 and below, can they really save and still take care of, say the person is married? Would they be able to do that?
Okay, some people might be in such bad financial situations that the 70, 10, 10, and 10 formula might not work best for them.
Exactly.
But still, they can use the 97, 1, 1, and 1 formula. If you're in a really bad situation, then start with the 97, 1, 1, and 1 formula.
I hope our audience got that. You just have to squeeze
You
them
must
and save
say.
something.
And do you know the strange thing about this? I will refer you to this book, The Richest Man in Babylon. There's a character there named Akkad. He said when he resolved to start saving 10% of his earnings, he said, as strange as it may seem, he managed to get back. He was already broke. He always didn't have money, but when he committed himself to saving 10%, nothing in his life changed. He was able to still go about it. You just need to make sure you do a few adjustments. Just cut out the unnecessary fat.
So could you share with our audience the types of books or platforms for them to learn more about finances?
Okay, honestly, the best book I have read so far for myself on financial literacy and financial management is number 1, Richest Man in Babylon. Number 2, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Number 3, The Millionaire Next Door. And number 4, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. If you read these 4 books, honestly, I don't think you need anything else.
Wow. I'm sure our audience got that. So before we close this, I just have one more question, Mr. Bakar. What's the biggest money lesson you wish everyone knew?
The biggest money lesson. Honestly, I feel the biggest money lesson that everyone should know is number 1, money hates idleness. Money hates idleness. If you have money, don't just say you're going to save it. Many people miss this point. Always make sure you try and invest it somewhere. And also, money hates noise. Don't say like, when I have money, I want to buy this, I want to buy this. Just be calm. Have you ever been with rich people before? Have you noticed that they're calm, composure?
They're always calm.
They're always calm because they
They're
know
always calm.
money hits. They always invest and they always make sure they don't show off. So don't buy more than what you need.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So, Mr. Abubakar, what are 3 practical things our audience should do immediately to improve their finance?
Okay. For anybody listening or watching tuning in on this program, number one, make sure you save at least 10% of each paycheck you receive. So I'm giving you tonight to think about it, but you must start tomorrow. Save at least 10%. When you save, don't just save and keep the money because inflation is going to eat it up. Invest. And when you do invest wisely, make sure you reinvest and reinvest and reinvest. That way your money will work for you and inshallah you'll be financially independent.
Mr. Abubakar, there's something really important that I'm sure a lot of our viewers would love to know. How should someone handle loans and debt to avoid financial problems?
Loans.
And
Just
debt.
take and that, if it's not absolutely necessary. I always tell people that you should never ever take a loan except under two circumstances. Number one, out of dire necessity, absolute necessity, that if you do not take that loan, maybe you are going to, maybe you have a serious health challenge, and if you don't take the loan to pay for that treatment, you are going to die. And number two is only for you to expand an already profitable business. But other than these two circumstances, I don't think it's a wise idea to credit agent. Save and invest. You would not have to take any loans.
Okay. Yeah. So, Mr. Abubakar, this is call to action,
Yes.
right? Do you have any final words or advice for Nigerians trying to build wealth despite the economic challenges we're facing?
My fellow Nigerians, my advice to you, to myself first and to you, is we should all persevere. Let's not give up. Remember Jack Ma's statement. He said, "Today might be bad, tomorrow may be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be better." So let's be positive. Let's have faith. Let's keep on keeping on, like Two-Face Udibia said. It's not easy. I know everybody is feeling the pinch, but we all have to start somewhere. Small progress is better than no progress at all. So that's my advice to save and invest wisely. And no matter how little you earn, make sure you save a little and invest it wisely.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I'll start saving today.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's it for today on Building Tomorrow. We have uncovered some powerful secrets about money, but knowledge alone isn't enough. Taking action is the real game changer. So start today, build wisely, and create the future you deserve. A heartfelt thank you to our distinguished guest, Mr. Abubakar, for his wisdom and inspiring ideas, and to our incredible audience, thank you for joining us. Remember, we are building tomorrow together. I remain your host, Fatima Bukar. See you next time.